I'm happy Andy is here. For a bank to be very convinced or convincingly convinced about the project, first you need to show a strong sign of leadership. And leadership here means delivering through people. You should be very passionate about what you want to do. And once you have it, for me, there are other 4 blocks that you put together. The first one is the marketing aspect, the technical aspect, the commercial aspect, which are put in a capsule of operational management aspects. If you meet any financial person and you say you have a project and you can show in real terms how you are getting into the psychology of the consumers, if you can come out with a strong consumer drive that, look, I understand that today, because of the problem we have in our urban centers, and I tell people in Kumasi, Accra, Takoradi, we don't have only money poverty. We also have time poverty. And interestingly, those who have money are now suffering more from time poverty. And because of that, we all eat on the go. So like doctor said, I want to do ampesi. But because of the fact that I have to be at Marriott at 8:30, I cannot have it. So if somebody out of his crazy thinking can come out with a yam that I can have on the go, bingo. The person can come from Afghanistan or from California. If he really sees in the first place the strong demand, the strong consumer pool, because every consumer will put money behind every item that will satisfy his or her needs. And my major problem now is how to kill or reduce my time poverty. Let's look at something like rice. A long grain rice, maybe 50 kg today will go for about 300 Ghana cedis, isn't it? But if it's a broken rice, how much do you think it will sell? The best would be about 150. But if you convert the broken rice into noodles, 50 kg of noodles will serve about something like 1,000, 1,500 Ghana cedis. And I would prefer that. Why? Because I need 15 minutes to cook the rice. For the noodles, I need 5 minutes. So if Mr. Hiaku comes in and I deal to come out with, instant noodle using broken rice, already he knows that, Ghana, even selling broken rice is a problem. So if you are going to add value to broken rice, already it's a winner. And he knows that in our capitals and even the rural areas, I'm a village boy, we used to have money only once a year. Because my mom would cook in the morning, cook in the afternoon, cook in the evening. But today, because the farm lands are about 3 kilometers away from the villages, the mother has to leave the house early. So he puts money on the table. So now the kids are also, even in the village, they are also eating on the go. And to prepare meal and prepare it faster, you need something that will really click. So for me, it's about understanding the building blocks of the business you want to do and how you strategically weave it together, synthesize the various elements like the bees make honey to enrich your business proposal. And you can see a company I want to talk about is Casapreco. I was shocked in Nigeria 4 years ago. You know, I'm very much involved in Share. And Share is only in West Africa. And I walked through all the value systems. So I was developing the western corridor of Nigeria. And I'll go to a village, a very deep village. Then I'll see an empty bottle of Casapreco. I say, gee, this is the bottle that time forgot. What is it doing here? From Tema all through, did it come through Abuja or through Lagos? And it's somewhere, not even, if I'm in Niger, it's not in Mina or Wawa or Kenji. It's somewhere Kaima, deep in the bush there. You know.
A bottle must have traveled.
The bottle has traveled. And this bottle is traveling because the value proposition is built on a strong consumer insight. You know, you are not just taking, and today, like food, many foodstuffs are moving from the typical fill my tummy to I want to look good, and I want to look healthy. So now we are moving into functional food. So if you come and tell me, look, I'm selling noodle, fine, noodle. But if you tell me, Prince, this noodle, if you take it for the next 2-3 hours, you will not even feel thirsty. It will energize you. That is what I'm looking for. So you see the companies that have really crossed the borders, like Isoko and the rest, they've really built a strong consumer-centric footprint. And consumer psychology is so enduring. I call it the love of a woman. It's so enduring that once you have it, in every minute, in every situation, they'll prepare to come and really give you the support. So once we want to do it, please, let's dream big. Let's start small. Let's run very fast. But most importantly, let's get the building blocks right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, if you want to do it, or you have to do it right, right? Please do it right. Madam Hali, AI, we're doing so many things now because you told us about starting from a point and it's opening doors into other areas. Assuming you wanted to move, and I'm sure you're thinking beyond Ghana, but in Ghana here, what would you say are your main competitive advantage in a sector you're operating in, and what makes us competitive in Pan-African or global, or what would make you competitive if you wanted to go into a Pan-African market or you wanted to go into global market?
I think I have to do justice to this question all by myself. I don't have a partner. Anyway, I would be very simple, down to earth, and I'll be very practical. We're already in Africa, and we work in some other parts of the world. But you want to know how you can remain competitive. There are some ingredients or some attributes that in my journey, I think every entrepreneur should have. These are, the first one is, as an entrepreneur, you need to have the can-do spirit. Because as you go out there with your ideas, you are going to face a lot of opposition. You need to convince yourself that you have an idea, you are going to make this work. Number two, that's where strong leadership comes in. But you need to be strong and you need to be very courageous. You shouldn't take no for an answer. And then number three, you need to be focused and very diligent. In the word diligent, you would have honesty and you would have excellence and everything in there. Now, I always say one thing. I say that there are a lot of mediocres in the system. Honestly, I don't think if you do things well, you would have any competition. If you look at the ExxonMobil story, ExxonMobil started as a kerosene peddler. They were just peddling kerosene. Today, ExxonMobil is the #1 company in the world with over 270 billion turnover. How did they get there? ExxonMobil had a slogan. They said, we don't want to be one of the best. We want to be the best. And for an entrepreneur, that should be your mindset. Anything you want to do, you need to do it. Know you can do it and know you can do it very well. or you should do it very well. I heard my friend here say that when you start, first of all, look for capital. No. If you go borrowing from the initial stages, you will not be in a position to stand on your 2 feet to compete. But when you are, like I said, if you are diligent, you would have all the opportunities knocking at your door. And therefore, competition will no longer be of concern to you. Why am I saying this? Okay, let me typically give myself as an example. We just started with an idea. I woke up one morning and I had an idea. And I said, okay, I want to do support services. I said, there are a lot of companies all over Ghana who have a whole lot of opportunities or a whole lot of activities that do not relate directly to their core businesses. Why don't I take over these activities and do it very well for them? And that was how AI was born. The first company I went to was Cosmos. And I would like to, at this point, say a very big thank you to Ruth Adashi, because she gave me that opportunity. She said, listen, can you help us with our office supplies? And you see, as entrepreneurs, you need to start from somewhere. So I said, you want office supplies? No problem. But whilst doing that, it didn't end there. At least put the proposal together, putting your documents together, would not need any money from anybody. I went to the business school. I studied business administration. I did banking and finance as my option. And then I did my master's in entrepreneurial management. So whilst working with Cosmos on that small scale, I said something. I said, you need to be honest. We started working, knocking on other doors. Now we got to MTN, and MTN said, yes, we have an activity that we would like you to manage for us. I said, what is this activity? They said, okay, we would want you to fuel all our website, all our sales sites in this country. I hadn't even seen what diesel looked like before. So I was like, the gentleman said to me, can you do this? I said, of course, why not? I would not stop at anything. And that's why I first of all started by telling you, as entrepreneurs, you need to have the can-do spirit. Because in business, you're going to face a lot of opposition. But if you are strong, you will sail through all of them. And that's how it started. And when the banks, like one of my colleagues rightly said here, when the banks saw the diligence and the strong leadership and the focus, you need to be extremely focused. Because you're going to have a lot of distractions. But you need to be focused as an entrepreneur. So there are 3 ingredients: the can-do spirit, strong and courageous leadership, and then lastly, focus and diligence. And that was how we started. The banks realized they saw the potential, and then they started chasing us everywhere. And from the banks to other international companies, he made a statement. He said the bees gravitate towards where the sweet is or where the honey is. That's exactly how it is. It's as simple as that. Once you do things excellently, you are honest, you will just find everybody knocking at your doors. And you'll be able to go anywhere in the world. hope I have answered your question very practically. Or you want to hear more?
Yes, you have. Yes, you have. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. So on the platform, the AgriTech is you're on the platform. You can just go there, and if you have any question, you can put it on so that we can keep the conversation going here. So if you have any question, just put it there. Clear all conversation and just focus on this discussion so that we can keep the conversation going. So I'll do another round of questioning. And I'm going to come to you, Daniel, again. You're an AgriTech person. You started with market price information. And you didn't pivot, but you added on. Giving advice to a young agri-techie or young agri-tech entrepreneur, what would be the advice so that he or she can build that business, focusing on something that works and can be grown?
Right. Thanks once again. So, this is a very interesting question. I mean, as you have heard all the panelists talking about, before you can go global, whatever you are selling needs to be something that anybody anywhere may want it or may want to use it. Right? There are certain business propositions that may only work in one country or one market, and you can never go global with those kind of products. And so for us, what we were doing was that you needed to understand what really the industry trend is heading into. And that is one thing as young entrepreneurs you must never forget. Never think that you have developed an excellent product, people are even buying it now, and so that's what you're going to do for the rest of your life. If you do that, sooner than later, you may find yourself outside the competition, outside the market. Nobody else will need that thing. I mean, take Nokia, for instance. Take Nokia phones. Nokia was a global leader in phone manufacturing in the world. Now, where are they? Take those guys who are manufacturing normal cameras, Kodak. Where are they now? So what I think the biggest challenge that for us we have really had is to look out for what is coming out next. And then position ourselves to develop products and services that actually meet that kind of demand. And that's the basic thing, as particularly in the agricultural technology space. Ghana has the third largest number of agri-tech companies in Africa. Right, and so as you're thinking through what can we also do in the agricultural value chain, think carefully because we are already the third largest when it comes to agri-tech in Africa. Beyond, I think, Kenya and Nigeria, Ghana is the third. And Ghana is one of the first countries that started agri-tech companies, even in the world, not only in Africa. And so a lot of things is happening in Ghana already. A lot is happening in Ghana already. If you stay at your corner, at your house, and you think you have very great ideas, you don't share, you don't discuss, you may end up that by the time you finish developing that idea what you have, somebody has already developed it long ago. Somebody came to my office recently and he said he's buying grains from the north and he's looking at developing so that can allow him to communicate with farmers and send them extension messages. And I said, okay, what have you been all this while? These technologies have been developed 10 years ago in Ghana and farmers are using it. Why do you want to reinvent the wheel, develop the same thing and try to develop a business out of that? This is largely because this young man, as genuine as he may be, did not know that what is happening in the market. And so you got to make yourself available to whatever information is out there. Read about industry news, attend conferences, go to workshops, seminars like this, and get to know what everybody else is doing. For us to develop global products, you also need to know, you don't need to do repetitions. I mean, Esoko is doing this and that, and so you also want to do the same thing. Agro Center is doing grain outsourcing, so you also want to do the same thing. Somebody else developing fish market and that kind of stuff, you want to do the same thing? No. Be genuine, be creative. There are so many products we have. I mean, being a developing country is an advantage also. I mean, the word developing means that everything is also developing. And so there are still so many issues that you can actually develop solutions for. But I see that people always want the easier way out. So, okay, this is probably the simplest thing that I can do. And you don't also like to think. Please, as young entrepreneurs, think. Spend a lot of time thinking through about what you can do. And you know what I do when I probably want to solve a problem? I think and meditate. Sit down quietly in the morning for like 30, 40 minutes and just reflect on all the issues that you see around in the country and look at what can you use technologies to solve. that nobody else has thought about it. And so normally great ideas start with very simple things. That when you mention, people say, oh, how come nobody has thought about this? Those are the kind of products and business that can actually take you global. We got to think. I mean, one thing that I think for us as Ghanaians, we don't really think. And so we always want very easy solutions to challenging problems. Let's think outside the box. Let's think that, okay, you have a whole lot of use of postal service management in Ghana. How can you solve that? And what else is already being developed? One thing that I think you also need to do is that, I mean, as you have all these initiatives underway, you must guard against fragmentation also. And so fragmentation simply means that you have so many people, so many startups trying to do almost the same thing that anywhere else. If you do that, that business can never go global. If you go to Kenya, that's what is happening in Kenya, and the AgriTech industry in Kenya. We have so many startups, so many companies almost trying to do almost the same thing. When that happens, none of them can grow beyond whatever few farmers that they can sell. But if you can think carefully and critically and do something that nobody else has really thought of, that doesn't mean that idea should be that compressed or like as if you are flying a rocket into the space. No. It can be a very simple solution that solves challenging the most complex problems. And so for us, you look at, okay, the trend is really moving to digitization. Data digitized. Everybody wants to move away from paper to digital records. Not only in agriculture, but also in other sectors. So what can you do as pioneers in the industry to be able to develop a solution that addresses, and then you develop our product called Insight, which was launched last year. When Insight was launched last year, August, as I speak, it's now being used in 65 countries around the world, including India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, all of these places. It's a simple data collection that you can download from Google Play Store, install on your phone, and then use to collect your data, offline, online. But then it addresses trade frauds that are already inherent in the existing product people may not have seen. So think through the solution, think through the industry, and go with the trend. Technology is fast moving. These are people talking about IoT, there's blockchain, there is all sorts of things. What can we use all these technologies out there to solve all the many issues that you have as a country? And for me, you need to think. You need to think through all the solutions very well. And don't try to do what everybody is doing. Talk to people. It's very, very important. If you stay in your corner, stay in your room, stay in your school, or whatever you may be developing something that already has been developed 10, 15 years ago.
So this time I'm going to push our panel to stay within 2 minutes because we're running out of time. Ivy, Daniel said we should think. How far are you thinking taking developers in Vogue to? Because I think the last time I heard some of your girls are moving into Google and other places. How far are you taking the local business to global, and what are the things that you've done to help you do that? I think you have a microphone. And related to our AgriTech is you've had exposure with them for almost a year now, so it's connected.
Okay, thanks for the question. And so we started Developers in Vogue in 2017. By the time we started, we didn't know anybody, nobody knew us. We just had big dreams of things we wanted to achieve. And so far, we've had 60 ladies going through our program. We've been able to connect 30 of them to jobs in local tech companies. So some of our ladies have gotten employment in Dream Oval, Haptel, Agro Center, etc. And recently, 2 of them have gotten job offers from Microsoft in the US. And so they are just starting their immigration processes so that they can go. And when I started, or when my co-founder and I started Developers in Vogue, we had a very big vision, I've told you already, and at the moment, I know there's more we can do because we really need to scale our work. For now, our concentration has been on women based in Accra, and that's a challenge because there are some women who are in other parts of the country and really want to be part of the program, but due to certain limitations cannot be part of it. And so, like I mentioned, in the past few months, we've been able to develop build some strategic partnerships that can enable us extend our work even to more rural communities. So even at the last quarter of last year, we did some training in Daboase in the Western region, and this is quite a rural place as compared to our focus in Accra. And so I'd say it's like we really use social media. Personally, I use LinkedIn a lot, and I post everything that I'm up to. So don't be surprised. Right? Yesterday. And I know after this event, I will surely post a picture from here and tell people what I'm up to. And most of the people who reach out to me have been through LinkedIn. Our very first venue we got from LinkedIn. The tutors who come and support us, we get from LinkedIn. We reach out to companies via LinkedIn to hire our ladies, etc. And so also leveraging on existing digital tools, like you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And everybody's on social media these days. And so even though we may not have physical presence somewhere, I can use the power of social media or the power of the internet to be able to reach these places. And so once I am able to do that and also do that consistently, it makes people find us credible, and then they want to do more with us. So I'll say that's like my experience so far in the past 1.5 years.
All right. So the questions have started coming in. So I'm going to now personalize them. So there's a question from one of the participants. Says, can a Rabna of Where Ghana walk us through step by step the process of how she was able to grow her company from a corner business to the promising startup we see today? What opportunities did she take advantage of?
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Step by step.
Step by step in 2 minutes.
Wow.
That's the sprint. Yes.
Wow. I would say that, like I said right from the start, we said we wanted to build a world-class business. We really didn't know what it meant. But we knew we didn't want, coming out of a bank, I came out of a bank, my business partner was working with one of the telcos. So we were used to working in global environments, and we wanted to take that and bring it into the fashion space. And we knew for sure that looking around, there weren't many fashion I'm saying many, but what I'm really saying is there weren't any fashion businesses in Ghana that we thought was the kind of business we're trying to build. And so having that global mindset, it made us very dissatisfied with being happy with, oh, we have 50 customers. Oh, wow, we are 300. What does that really mean? If the fashion, like the global fashion industry, if it's worth $3 trillion, what does it mean when you have 1,000 customers? Is that a good thing? So one, I would say the mindset. Two is that we took marketing very seriously, and we were blessed to have in our contacts people who helped us to do marketing that was unusual. And so suddenly we had gone from being a company that no one knew to a company that people found very interesting. And we used social media a whole lot, and we did a lot of crazy things. One of the things that we did, for example, was for our first anniversary, we did a campaign called The Engagement, and we took random people, put them together, did flyers, and said the engagement. Obviously, people thought people were getting engaged, but the curious thing was, why is everyone getting engaged on the 15th of November 2014? And so when we said meet us at the Botanical Gardens, which is where we did our event, people came in. Some people even came in their gele to come for engagements, and this was us saying we are 1 year old. And so we've used social media to make our brand very exciting and something that people like to follow. We've also tried to be very authentic. Really, we are in this business because, like I said right from the start, we believe that Africans must solve Africa's problems. We are passionate about this. And so in making certain decisions, like what kind of fabric do you use, who do you employ, what kind of partnerships, we've stayed very authentic to who we are as people. Yeah, 2 minutes.
2 minutes is up. All right. Thank you very much, Rabna. Madam Hali, a question for you. What are the real challenges entrepreneurs in Ghana face, and how can a young startup succeed? You were not doing, you didn't even know how diesel looked like, and they asked you, can you do this? And you said yes, because you initially were doing something else. So for a startup, I have a lot of things I want to do, or I've started something. what are the challenges out there for me, and how can I succeed? What are things that I can take advantages of, and some of the things that I should avoid?
Okay. What are some of the challenges that startups face? I think as a startup company, the first thing is you are unknown. So you haven't been able to prove yourself. So that is one, should I say, disadvantage on your part. How do you overcome this? You would have to prove yourself at every given opportunity that you have. For instance, when we got this opportunity to step into the petroleum space, like I said to you, I didn't even know what diesel looked like, but it didn't end there. I went back, I did my homework, I read about the whole industry, down, mid, upstream. I was always researching, I was always reading, I was always reading about different companies, how they did it. And then there were some, that was how knowledge actually came to me. And therefore, I realized that, okay, there was actually no disadvantage, but what I needed to do was to be excellent at everything I did. If you look at our signature, when we send you mails, you see that we have a slogan there called service with speed and excellence. And I think that that is one thing that Ghanaian companies or local companies need to imbibe. When you go out there, the perception out there is that Africans are not serious. You send them mails, it takes forever to reply mails. You call them, they don't pick up their calls. And no serious company would want to deal with any company of this sort. So, I think the basic attributes or the basic things that you need to surmount would be your diligence. You pick your calls, you respond to your emails. As a startup, these are things that you need to take advantage of. You need to do. And when you start doing these things very well, you just realize that all the clients, all the customers are looking for you because people out there do not do that. One gentleman said that there are a lot of, you should think out of the box and come up with new ideas and all of that. Yes, but I think there's no idea that hasn't been introduced before. Everything around, somebody has tried their hands at before. So I think your advantage, I would look at it from that point of view, your advantage rather is that you should do things excellently. And some of the things you should do excellently are picking your calls, responding to emails, because we're in a global world now. We're in a global world, doing things well, presenting your products and your services in an excellent manner with a global mindset, with a global perspective to whatever you do. Know that whatever you're doing is not ending here, but it's going to the global world. I hope I've answered your question.
You have.
Thank you.
Prince Obeng, question for you. What is the best form of marketing strategy for a startup, and how do we develop these strategies?
Okay. It's actually a process, or I would say a continuum. The first one is trying to understand the global consumer trends. For instance, if you want to come up with any product, how does that product really fit into the needs, the need space of the people? And I'm sitting here with other players globally. We have about 8 of them. But today, consumers are more experiential. Is it the first time we are eating banku or mutu in the house? No. But today, if we say, oh, agbamami, then it changes the chemistry of the mutu. That tells you consumers now don't just want to eat something, they want to eat something with a certain level of experience. And that should really come from the marketing aspect. I really bleed a lot in my soul that as a country, we don't have consumer trained systems or structures because we believe that everything, God is the one who is doing it. And therefore, if we pray, it will really work. But I was just reading from this company, Bueller, the machine supplier. They have a research institution where they are financing with 5% of their annual turnover. And they are now developing food materials that will be needed in the next 30 years. For me, that's what we are looking for. So from marketing perspective, if I have identified that vitality is going to be a major driver in our consumer space, then now I need to develop the right product that will make my sisters look young and beautiful, even at the age of 80. Yes. And I can tell you, if a Rebna will look how she is to the next 20, 40 years by taking a special glass of juice that I've produced, I'm sure she will sell fortune of her products to go and get it. So marketing becomes a major driver in the strategic plan of the business. Then apart from that, you know, we are talking about globalization, and I call it the bicycle pedaling effect. Anybody who can ride a bicycle, so far as you are pedaling the bicycle, you have equilibrium, isn't it? The very moment you stop, you either fall down or you put one of your legs on the ground. Marketing is supposed to help you to understand, even if I'm talking about this juice today, doesn't mean tomorrow a Rabna will still be interested in that juice. In a Ghanaian parlance or as a starter, once we've done it, we think the rest is about fasting and prayers. So we don't go back to really seek from the consumer, Rabna, are you still really enjoying the product I developed for you yesterday? Okay? And then also in operational sense, let's assume you've brought this product. Typical Ghanaian, you know, Ghanaians, we are, by cultural standard, we are not people who want to challenge our boundaries. I want to see what Ben has done, and immediately I want to imitate. Okay? So going forward, how do I know that my business that I'm going to do is even going to work? Do we even know the functional tool of assessing market potential? And if you don't know where you are coming from, I can tell you any route can take you there. So, and don't forget, if you also board the wrong bus, every destination is wrong. So marketing helps you to identify the right bus. If you are going to Aflao, you shouldn't take the bus going to Kaswa. Because whether you alight at Malam Junction or Weja Barrier, you are still in the wrong direction. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So this will be the last question, and then we'll take final comments, 1 minute each from you. So there's a battle here. The battle is from a questioner. He said, Dr. Daniel said, your service must mature before you take it outside. And Mr. Rama said, we no longer have the luxury. Prince, please, this is for you. So you are going to settle this fight. Okay. Yeah. So I'll take it again.
Yeah.
Dr. Daniel said, your service must mature before you take it outside. And Mr. Rama said, we no longer have the luxury to start small businesses. How KIC can our ideas attract enough support and funding if not possible to have an MVP within the short duration, making reference to submission by Dr. Prince Akpese that every investor has the mind of recouping the capital invested with all can-do spirit. This is coming from Borough. At least you signed. Thank you.
No, this Prince Akwesi.
Prince, okay.
So the question is whether you should prove your idea before you take it global, or whether you should take it global from the beginning.
Yes.
Right? See, there's no formula to this, right? The important thing is you knowing what you have and what you are trying to do. There are certain ideas that lend themselves by the very nature of them to internationalization very, very easily, right? There are some that do not, because then you need to perfect the process. You need to perfect the back end properly so that when you go out, you don't crash. So I think that it's more about you looking carefully at what you have and whether it lends itself to a rapid scale up or it does not. Some ideas don't, some do. I think that what determines whether you are successful or not is your ability to identify that. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. So we'll start from you. Final words, and then Madam Hali, and we'll come down.
Okay. So I think that having been involved with the Cosmos program for the number of years that I have, you have a fantastic opportunity, not only to come up with business ideas that you could possibly get funding for, but also to learn and grow as people. Take advantage of every opportunity that you have to learn and grow, because even if your idea does not win, you will need some of the things that you learn through this process. Number two, please focus. If your idea wins, there'll be a lot of hype. Before your idea wins, we would try to tear it apart. That would be fun. But what we do would be to try to help you to fix all the things that need to be fixed. But when you get to that level, there'll be a lot of hype. Don't let it get to your head. You find so many people calling themselves CEOs, going from one place to the other, collecting this award or that award. I have a simple baseline. How much money are you making? Who is paying you for the idea? If no one is paying you for the idea, stop wasting everybody's time. Right? So focus, 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 and get the money in. That is the important thing.
Thank you.
One word from me, right? Okay.
Come again?
One word from me.
Yes, final.
Okay. I think this is a very unique platform that I would urge all of you to take advantage of. And then, like I have said from the beginning, whatever idea you have, do it excellently and do it diligently. And then as you grow, there's one thing I would want to add here, is learn to invest your profits back into the business so that you can grow the necessary processes, the necessary standards you need to take advantage of the global markets. Thank you.
Yeah, so first I'd like to clarify that how I meant is have that global mindset. Start by building whatever it is and build it tight, knowing that you're going to scale. So that like in the analogy of the selfie, so that when you scale, your business isn't pixelating. Your business can still be the same business that it is here as it is everywhere else that you're sending it across the world. My last thoughts would be that first of all, you guys are really lucky. When we were starting out, we didn't know, I've said, we didn't know what it meant to build a world-class business. You know, all the funky terms, ideation and all of those terms. But when it comes right down to it, business is a numbers game. And your numbers are always telling you a story. Problem is, if you're not watching the numbers, then you don't know what they are telling you. So no matter what happens throughout this, I'm hoping that everyone that got this opportunity becomes an entrepreneur that builds a global business that employs as many Africans as possible. And the way to do it is to always remember to look at your numbers.
Thank you. I also want to say that this is a very, very wonderful an opportunity for young guys who really want to become the leaders of tomorrow. My caution is that being Ghanaians, you know, culturally, even you can see that in our language, we are not very analytical. When it comes to the concept of relativity, the Ghanaians are the worst people you can meet. We speak, we think, we dream in absolute terms. And the litmus test is that I want somebody to challenge me that he has dreamt in English. In this room. You always dream in your mother language. Okay? Unfortunately, our mother language, no, am I talking sense? Who has ever dreamt in English? Even if you are courting a girl on 14 February, I don't think you'll be speaking English. In the dream, you speak your mother language. Okay? And really, that tells me the strong power that language really has. And to that extent, culture. So, please, Einstein said, without relativity, even the globe will not what? Will not rotate. My sister said the figures, and that should be it. What can never be measured can never be checked. And remember, there's a saying in German that I like so much. It says, Vertrauen is good, kontrollieren is besser. To trust is good, but to check is always better. It could even be your wife. If it's not 2, don't say it's 1.8. It's only the politicians who really have their own mathematics. The guy blew $20 million. You are convinced, oh, but my predecessor blew 22. So you should be happy that I even did 20. In business, it doesn't really work. So please, remember, it is a game that you do for yourself, you do for society. And everybody who really takes the opportunity to run this race should run it with a sense of winning. So don't let us really try to behave that we are there when we are not there. It's typical very Ghanaians. And I think it has to do with the fact that we have weakness in relative thinking. Thank you.
For my last words, I would say that it's very important that the work you want to do, the business you want to start, makes impacts in the community. We are talking about agriculture, but it's also important that it's sustainable enough. So there should be money in the bank account, because without the money in the bank account, you can't pay your workers, you can't touch the lives of the farmers, and you can't even make any more impact. So even as you are thinking through your business, also pay attention to your business model. You may not figure it out immediately, but it's something that should always be on the top of your mind, and you'd definitely figure it out as time goes on. And I also want to say a mantra that I live by is pay now, play later. I feel that this is the best time for me to do all the hard work as I'm young, so that I can chill in the future. So you have such a great opportunity to learn from others, to meet so many amazing people. Take advantage of it and do as much as you can now. And I'm also on the ideation team, so I'll be happy to speak with you about your ideas and give some advice as well. Thanks.
All right, these are indeed interesting times for the young entrepreneurs in Ghana. I mean, 5 years ago, I was always yearning for something like this. I traveled over the world. I went for conferences. I see young people having seminars, having a project like this. Luckily, you've KIC, you guys have the opportunity now. Ghana is a unique country, and you must never forget that. Whenever you travel anywhere, and you say you're a Ghanaian, people will respect you. People have a bit of trust for Ghanaians. And that is something that we can leverage as we think about growing and developing global businesses. We're still also a very young country. Most about 57% of Ghanaians are between 15 to 60 years. So very, very young. And Africa is the next frontier for global business. And so you might not be left out. You were left out in the first and second industrial revolutions. This time around, Africa determined to make our mark in the global world. So let's strive. Let's take the opportunity of meeting all these people. Misoko was fortunate enough to have the likes of Prince sitting on our board for so many years. And so take advantage of all the people that you are meeting, that Cosmos is making available for you guys to meet, learn, and think. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And shall we give a big ahoya to the team? Cosmos! Cosmos! Let's appreciate. Thank you very much, panel. Dr. Daniel Sariche, Prince Akwese, Prince Obeng, Ivy, Bali, Erabna Ajiman, Abigail, Hali. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for sharing wisdom with us this morning. Great. Good to have you. At this time, I'll call on Mr. George Sapon. He has a very special introduction that he wants to make, and you'll hear global perspective about KIC soon.
Ahoya!
We'll practice it.
Aho. Aho. Good. Hey, listen here. Isn't it a wonderful day? Okay. Now, let me tell you something. KIC was started by Cosmos in 2016, and we took a chance that this program will work. It's been a lot of hard work, and the company that is Cosmos Energy has been paying a lot of attention to this program, making a lot of investment in this program, and also watching where we are going. And I'm pleased to say that based upon the success we've chalked up so far, based upon the hard work from the teams that came through 2016, 2017, 2018, KIC is going places. And I have the honor to introduce the global KIC person from our headquarters in the person of Lauren Berry to give you an idea where this program is going. Lauren, let's give her a hand. Come on, guys.
Thanks, George. So I'll be quick because I think it's between me and I think lunch is next. Yeah, so I'm standing between you and food, I think. So just quickly, I think before even, George, where we're going, just quickly where we've been. George doesn't like it when I tell this story, but when we first started looking 3 years ago at what we would do in terms of a signature program, you know, what would be our big investment that we were going to make to show that Cosmos is in Ghana for the long haul, that we're committed to the country. We truly were starting, you know, it was like where you guys are coming up with ideas, all kinds of ideas. And quickly when we looked at where can we invest our time and money, we went to agriculture because that's where really there was the most room for growth. If we want to do something to help the economy in Ghana and be here for the long haul, let's invest where there's the biggest potential to create jobs, which is agriculture. And so we went through, we did the kind of crazy brainstorming thing, and there were things like, should we invest in growing sweet potatoes was one idea, right? I mean, it was all over the place. All kinds of partners that we spoke to, some of them were here earlier. Where do we invest our money? And ultimately where we landed was this program. And why? It's because it was rather than invest in infrastructure, cold storage, sweet potatoes, it was investing in people. And so I think today we can all say that this was a much better investment than putting our money into something intangible, or tangible rather, a cold storage facility, potatoes, what have you, because we talk about scale, but the impact of this program is truly limitless, right? Because for all of you that are hopefully going to create your own jobs, become employers of a big company, it's just, we're going to magnify that impact, right? So all of you here have the potential to grow your own businesses, become future employers, and I think that is really, truly the best way that we can spend Cosmos social investment. So George mentioned that I think we really see that this program, we're thrilled with the results, and we're looking really to Ghana and to this program, to George's team, but all of you, to show us what to do next, right? So we're taking the program. We already have started a program in Mauritania that's modeled after this one. We have similar programs in Senegal and Cote d'Ivoire, and really looking now at saying, what can we learn from this program and do something in the US? So we're looking at doing a program like this in Houston and Dallas. So, I mean, first, thank you to George and team, but to truly to all of you, because I think that we're just, you know, we've been inspired. And so from what, you know, was once just a program here in Accra, it truly is now a global program. So with that, we should thank George and team, and then yourselves as well. So I'm learning the cheer, but let's do it. Energy, energy. Thank you all, truly, and we look forward to being with you over the course of the day.
Thank you. Right. So we're getting into the second part of the program today, and rules of engagement. We have 12 tables. On the 12 tables, we have designated experts seated on each of the table.